Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So the final day of spoiler season just keeps going, and yeah, more and more great cards like the one this morning with Slip Out the Back, an unexpected card from this set, and one that is a really good card that I think a lot of decks out there are going to want to consider. But speaking of unexpected, don't check out that episode before you check out this one, because my goodness, Cormela, Glamour Thief, do not sleep on this commander, because this very well might be the new combo queen. Now, before we jump in all the crazy things that you can do with this commander, please thank Eddie in the comments below for all of his hard work throughout spoiler season, and also blame Eddie as well, because that's just what we do. And now with that said, let's jump into it. So, Cormela, Glamour Thief is a commander that I think many just might gloss over. It is an uncommon commander. She's a 2/4 vampire rogue with haste that costs 1 blue, black, red. She has pay 1, tap, add blue, black, red, spend this mana only to cast instant and/or sorcery spells. And on top of that, when she dies, return up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So Cormela is a very interesting mix of things. She's kind of like a mana dork and a hasty one at that, but she kind of filters your mana in a way, and you also can only use that mana for instants and sorcery spells, so it does have that restriction. And with that second part, she's kind of like a reverse Archaeomancer in a way, maybe more so. I mean, I guess a more apt comparison is Living Lightning, but that one doesn't see as much play. It's still a good card, but yeah, reverse Archaeomancer, let's go with that. Getting you back in instant or sorcery on death can be a very powerful thing, and I'm just going to illustrate to you, well, how this combination of, again, a hasty mana dork with a filtering ability that is restrictive on what you can use that mana for, on top of being, you know, a value-generating death trigger that can get you back in instant or sorcery, can just be broken beyond belief once you're set up properly, and it does not take much to set this up. And there are actually a lot of different ways that you can break this, and we're going to be talking about them, well, really quick. I just want to mention that with quick takes like this one on a commander, I do include a link in the description with the cards that I talk about in this episode. So yeah, just in case you want to pick up some of those cards sooner rather than later, because yeah, when new commanders are spoiled, some cards do go up in demand. So there you go. And now with that said, let's jump into the cards. So when I saw this commander, the first cards that I thought of, and actually we keep getting more and more of these types of cards more recently, are cards like Feigned Death, Undying Mouse, and Supernatural Stamina, which are incredible cards with this commander. They all essentially do the exact same thing. They're instants for just a black mana, and well, let's just go with Feigned Death first. It says, until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield, tapped under its owner's control with a ++1 counter on it. Undying Malice literally does the exact same thing, and Supernatural Stamina is pretty much the same. It says, until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return to the battlefield, tapped under its owner's control. Whether it's getting a counter or +2/+0, we don't care. Our commander does not care about those things. What we do care about, though, with this commander is that when she dies, we can bring her right back with one of these. So think about this scenario. We activate our commander's ability by paying 1 to add Grixis to our mana pool. Now we can only actually utilize that mana again for instants and sorceries, so cool, let's utilize that black mana to cast Feigned Death on our commander. Now we still have blue-red in our mana pool that we can still utilize for instants and sorceries. Now say we also have a sacrifice outlet in play, and a free one at that, and there are plenty of those in these colors, and we'll get to some of them here in a bit. We then sacrifice our commander with that free sacrifice outlet, and we get whatever value that gives us, but most importantly, we get our commander's death trigger. So our commander dies, and obviously we get the death trigger, and we get the new death trigger that Feigned Death gave it. So our commander is going to come right back into play with a counter on it, and again with our commander's death trigger, we can get Feigned Death back. So a lot of things just happened there, and there are a lot of cards that can benefit from this kind of interaction. We'll talk about those here in a bit, but basically, I mean, at the end of the day, we're basically at the exact same position we just were. Now we had to utilize, say, again, 1 mana to actually tap our commander originally, but that 1 mana that we utilized essentially turned into blue-red, so 2 mana, obviously, but now we can utilize that mana for instants and sorceries. So just with that simple interaction, it's kind of like a ritual effect, or our commander can kind of like double up on our mana, essentially, as long as we're using that mana on instants and sorceries. Now, obviously, there are a lot of other factors at play with this, and we'll talk about cards that can benefit from all these interactions, and right now, let's talk about some cards that can basically break this. Because, of course, we've got some free sacrifice outlets that work incredibly well with this commander, with this interaction, with cards like Thermopod, Phyrexian Altar, and Ashnod's Altar, and yeah, I know, Phyrexian Altar is incredibly expensive, but yeah, Thermopod, very budget-friendly. Thermopod is a 4/3 slug that says sacrifice a creature, add red to your mana pool. So, just with this and our commander and any of those Feign Death type spells out there, we can go infinite. We simply pay the 1 to activate our commander, add Grixis to our mana pool, and then we use that mana to cast Feign Death on it. Then we sacrifice our commander to add red to our mana pool. Again, our commander is going to come back thanks to Feign Death, and on top of that, we get Feign Death back in our hand, and again, since we sacrificed our commander with Thermopod, we have a red in our mana pool. So in our mana pool right now is a red mana that we can spend on anything, and then a blue and a red mana that we can only spend on instants and sorceries. So with that red mana that we made with Thermopod, then we activate our hasty commander, because yes, our commander does have haste, and that's very important to do that again, and again, and again, and again. That is infinite death triggers, that is infinite ETBs, that is infinite casts, that is infinite mana. Well, okay, I should be a little more specific. That is infinite blue and red mana that we can only spend on instants and sorceries, but yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do with that, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. Next up, Phyrexian Altar essentially works in the exact same way, though again, let me check really quick. Yeah, this card is now $89, so yeah, quite expensive. Regardless, it says sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color. So yeah, again, basically the exact same thing as Thermopod, but on an artifact that costs less, and yeah, I mean, now you can pick any color, but it really doesn't matter for the combo. For this combo, it doesn't matter what kind of color you're using, because you're just going to utilize it to tap your commander. Now, Ashnod's Altar takes things a step further, because it says sacrifice a creature, add colors to your mana pool. So instead of getting 1 mana out of our commander, we are getting 2 mana, and now, well, we get infinite colorless mana as well. And with that colorless mana, we can actually spend that on anything, and it's not just restricted to instants and sorceries. So yeah, these are definitely 3 of the best sacrifice outlets out there that work with this commander, but there are others that definitely work with our commander as well, and we'll talk about those and other cards that still can go infinite with those outlets too. So 3 other ones that I do want to highlight are cards like Goblin Bombardment, Viscera Seer, and Yawgmoth Thran Physician. Goblin Bombardment says sacrifice a creature, it deals 1 damage to any target. So with this, obviously, again, with all the other benefits that we're getting from doing our Feign Death over and over again with our commander, we are pinging down whatever we want to ping down. And then Viscera Seer is a fantastic sacrifice outlet, a great value engine, and says sacrifice a creature, scry 1. So this is not card advantage, but it is card selection, and it can help us dig down to get to the right card that we need. But speaking of card advantage, Yawgmoth is card advantage. By paying 1 life, we can sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. So obviously, if our opponents have creatures in play, we can start taking those down with the -1/-1 counters, but more importantly, we are drawing cards. Now, yes, it does cost 1 life per card, but still, this can be an incredible amount of card advantage and get us to the cards that we need to win. And again, outside of these, there are plenty of other free sacrifice outlets in these colors that are fantastic. And actually, although these just don't go infinite kind of on their own with our Feign Death commander combo, they do go infinite when we add in 1 other card. And that could be a card like Carnival of Souls, Burgi, or Stormkiln Artist. And okay, actually, technically, Carnival of Souls does have a limitation, but we'll talk about that right now. Carnival of Souls says, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you lose 1 life and add black. So, yes, this is a reserveless card and about $14 at this time, but still, in combination with this commander, it works very well. Because again, unlike Thermopod or Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar, those previous sacrifice outlets I just talked about don't generate us mana. But in combination with this, they basically do. Because again, our commander just keeps coming into play again and again and again thanks to Feign Death, so because of that, we keep generating black mana. Now, yes, there's a limitation that we lose life, so we need to keep that in mind. But yeah, again, it basically gives us the mana that we need to activate our commander again. So again, not infinite because of that loss of life, but yeah, a ton of Grixis mana essentially to utilize for instants and sorceries. Now, one that does go infinite because there is no, loss of life restriction or whatnot is Birgi, God of Storytelling. And Birgi is pretty fantastic because with her, we can essentially go infinite if we're already set up properly the turn that our commander comes out. Birgi says whenever you cast a spell, add red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps in phase's end. Because we are continuing to cast Feign Death over and over and over again, when we do cast Feign Death, we generate that red mana that we can then utilize to activate our commander. So yeah, the combo can be as simple as this. Yes, we could put a sacrifice outlet down turn 1, potentially like a Viserys here, but let's just say we have Gun Bombardment on turn 2 just to make this easier. Turn 3, Birgi. Turn 4, Commander with Feign Death in our hand. That's game. Now, obviously, in more competitive metas, you could probably do this even quicker. I assume turn 2, even just, with a, say, Soul Ring start, you could go Altar of Dementia on turn 1, then turn 2 Birgi, then turn 3 Commander, and win. But yeah, comment below with other ways to combo this commander even quicker. Again, by casting our commander, we just make that 1 mana that we then utilize to activate our commander, we tap it, and then we use the black for Feign Death, and you see where this is going. We ping down all of our opponents with God Bombardment infinitely. And another potential combo piece which works in a similar way is Stormkiln Artist. It has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a treasure token. So this one works very similar to Birgi, and essentially every single time we're casting Feign Death, we are getting a treasure token, which we can then utilize to activate our commander for that mana. So yeah, again, on top of those sacrifice outlets that actually generate us mana, there are actually other ways like these to actually generate mana within this combo in different ways. Yeah, I told you this very well might be the new combo queen, because there's a ton of ways that we can combo with it. And of course, there are other ways that we can actually benefit from, just doing this loop over and over again. Even if we don't have a finisher, we can have things like, Archmage Emeritus in play. It has whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. So yeah, again, by casting Feign Death a ton of times, we're just going to be drawing a ton of cards and digging through our deck for the right card that we need to win. And that card might be Gutter Snipe, which says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. So again, even without going infinite, we can just deal a ton of damage to our opponents just by casting something like Feign Death again and again. Or we can actually benefit from our commander dying again and again with something like Zulaport Cutthroat. It says whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Notably, obviously, if this is in play when you're comboing and you've got Carnival of Souls, you kind of cancel out that life loss from Carnival of Souls, and you can definitely drain your opponents out and win. So yeah, and again, in this deck, there are plenty of fantastic ways to finish your opponents off as well. And another way to do that might be Storm Spells with cards like Empty the Warrens, Temporal Fissure, and Mind's Desire. Empty the Warren says create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, and it's got Storm. So again, if you are just, Feign Deathing again and again, and you're just generating all of this mana, even if you're not going infinite, let's say you cast Feign Death, like 6-7 times in a turn, then you utilize all that blue and red mana, or at least, 4 of it, to cast Empty the Warrens, have fun making a ton of goblin tokens. Because again, with Storm Spells, when you cast it, you copy it for each spell cast before it this turn, and yeah, you can cast a ton of spells very quickly with this commander. Or, you can utilize my favorite Storm spell, Temporal Fissure, return target permanent to its owner's hand, and keep in mind it doesn't say non-land permanent, so, yeah, games need to end. So finish your opponents off by getting rid of all their things, including their lands. Or how about Mind's Desire if you just want to, roll the dice and have a lot of fun hitting things off the top. It says shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost, and it's got Storm. So, yeah, again, if you roll the dice enough with this, you very well could just hit the right card that you need to actually win the game. Now, of course, there are plenty of other ways that you can benefit from, your commander's Feign Death interaction, essentially, with cards like Grim Haruspex and Blue Sun Zenith. Grim Haruspex says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. So yeah, there are plenty of death trigger benefits in these colors, so take advantage of them and draw a ton of cards with something like this. And yeah, that very well might draw you into a finisher like a Blue Sun Zenith, which can definitely help you, if you're able to generate infinite mana, great. It says target player draws X card, shuffle Blue Sun Zenith into its owner's library. So yeah, you can just utilize this to essentially draw almost your entire library or your entire library to get exactly what you need to win, or, to actually just mill an opponent out. And of course, you can do this multiple times because this goes back in your library, and if you've got other ways to get it back, you can do it again and again and again. But yeah, essentially, make sure you're considering X spells as well, because again, your commander can generate a ton of mana for X instant sorcery spells. Another interaction that you might even just want to consider is with extra turn spells if that's a direction you want to go, because yeah, your commander having a death trigger that brings back an instant or sorcery, if you can get an extra turn spell in your graveyard and get it back again and again and again, that's a very powerful thing. Now, obviously, there are only so many extra turn spells out there that don't exile, when you cast them, like Temporal Manipulation, take an extra turn for this one. It does not say exile anywhere on it, so yeah, you can go to your graveyard, you can get it back with your commander. Great. And of course, if you've got enough mana for it, well, you could just do this over and over and over again with that Feign Death interaction if you've got something like Psionic Resonator. By paying 2, you tap and copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose targets for the copy. So yeah, copy your commander's death trigger and just say, cool, all right, I'm going to get 2 instant sorceries back now. Essentially, I'll get back Feign Death and Temporal Manipulation. And yeah, with the amount of mana that your commander can generate, which again, yes, you can't use for the Psionic Resonator, but you can use that for Temporal Manipulation, so this is doable. And so then you're essentially just set up to take infinite turns, and yeah, there are plenty of ways to win from there. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Cormela, Glamour Thief. Yeah, this is the exact kind of commander that many players out there are going to sleep on. It's an uncommon commander that has, this mana ability, but it is restricted, and it's got a death trigger, which is pretty good, but they might not see all the ways that you can use and abuse that. So yeah, with all the ways that Cormela can combo and all the different interactions and cards that are just incredible with this very well might be a new combo queen. But of course, there are plenty of other exciting cards and commanders from this set, so make sure you check out my other quick takes and make sure you stay tuned to more quick takes on this channel. And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you, so make sure you comment below and let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.